Hey guys, just give me a few seconds. Uh, I'm just checking things are working correctly because it has been a while since I set up everything. I should check if this sounds alright. So, how can I do that? Give me a second. This might reverberate a wee bit. Okay, let's see. I can go to it. Something like that. See if things are working here. Hey guys. Hey guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think it should be alright, but let me know if it's silent. I think it should be alright, but let me know if it's silent. Let me try to put some music on. Uh, I want to move this audio setup. Hey guys, just a minute for me to set up things and check that things actually are working. Do let me know if the something's off, like is the music too loud or is it my voice too loud or too low. I don't think I streamed in the like two months or so. So just testing. Things are working still good. Okay, now as far as size, I hope that's readable enough. I think this is what we had the last time. So should be functional enough. And what else do we need here? Let me try to disable the preview of this. Do the final setup operations. Kill that one. That one. Okay. So let's see what we're gonna do today. Just need a browser window too. And I'll probably want to zoom in that one because no one will be able to actually see that. Let's show the status bar, not that one. Or let's see. Other than 30%. That's good enough. Okay, hope that's readable on the stream, but otherwise, let's get started. So the topic today is gonna be talks. So the tax rewrite is ongoing, and some of you might have already give it a try. Basically, if you go here, you see that we started the first release on 9th of this month. That's like a week ago. which is the first alpha release, and then got some feedback. So he made some improvements, did another release on 13th. Which day was that? Is that like, yeah, Wednesday? And today is Saturday, and did a few more improvements, fixes since then. But there's still plenty of left. Mainly if you go to the issue tracker, I tagged it as talks for the ones which are more modern. Yeah, I haven't fixed that, and that's actually one of the things I might address. And that's as good as any of the other one. Oh yeah, the one without the space. Yeah, that I fixed it. That was an interesting one. Yeah, so I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I mean, it reads as Jogmac, but 00, but maybe it's something different. I'm sorry if I butchered that. But Jurgen. Okay, so basically the issue Jurgen is speaking about is this one, 178.8. So you could not actually specify the constraints in legacy format. And this is like the manifestation. This is the PR I put in 2 days ago for it, addressing that one. And actually might be interesting to have a quick look at the code. It's actually a bit more complicated than I was expecting it, because there's two things about requirements file. So some of you might know about the depth section inside Tux. Yeah. So let me just pull that up. One of the main things I need to do is actually write the documentation for the Tux 4. But I would first like to get into more stable state before I go down that path. So going on that one, probably many of you might have seen the depth section here. In the depths, you can specify any dependencies that you may want to pull in install. But this depth thing, it's not just the PEP58 compliant entries that here we talk about, and PEP508 compliant specification is basically what you see here. You could also pass in two things. You could pass in requirement file specification and constraint file specifications. And the main way you could do that was basically by using, and if I go to the issue here that was reported, would be, let me go pull that up. Maybe one more back. Yeah. So you could also specify those files in this format with the -r and -c. And the reason why you had to, there's no space here, was because this section was treated as just a raw string. So we needed somehow to escape when is something dependency and when is not a dependency. Just now thinking why there wasn't any space allowed there. Was it because some implementation detail of Tux3, but you could not do this basically. In Tux3, this would throw an error. But if you specify this would have worked. Now in Tux4, we got much better support of this, because I was thinking when I was making this is that given that we already support -r and -c, we might as well go full out and support the entire requirement file specification. So in Tux4, now within the depth section here, you can literally put anything that's understandable by the requirements file specification. And there is no specification of that, but as interpreted by pip. So basically we try to follow the same semantics as pip is doing, meaning that you can have all these options in there. And as a novelty, you can also use the long form now and the short form. And we basically kind of dynamically pick which one we want to do. Now, the problem is that, So one of the problems when you want to implement support for requirements files is that Tux needs to know, and that is one of the major complaints of Tux 3 was that if you change something in the requirement file, Tux did not rebuild your environment or did not install the new specified dependency in the project, but instead just silently said as it everything would have been fine. So in Tux 4, we now actually detect when things change within a requirements file and only install the newly added additions to the requirements file. Now to do this, we need two things. We need a way to basically collect all the arguments that the installer would get with the installation. And this is this validate and expand call. It basically takes all the requirements files, merges them together, and builds kind of like a dependency set for the project. And there's a good way to show this. So let's go, for example, this. Which one was it? Because I had it literally a minute ago. Maybe I can just go up. Nah, not this one. The something GitHub. Let me show a more complex example of this. So let's say I go one up and I see here I want to go test this one. So there's this project, for example, card Wordle. Okay, so if you look at the configuration file of this Wordle, you can see that in the depth section here there is a simple requirements file. Or here you have two requirements specified one after another in the doc section. So in order for Tux to be able to know when to need to install new dependency or not, it needs to be able to parse this requirements file and collect all the packages installed within it. For example, I can do in Tux 4. Now we actually have sub comments. So for example, we have like run list devm config quick start legacy, and the config one is the one I want to use here. It's basically just show the materialized configuration of the Tux environment. So as we saw here, if you check into the doc section, okay. So let's see if you want to find out what would these depths be for the docs. So for this one, I can do like configuration. I want the Dux environment and I want just the depth key. Oh, yeah. This project wants to like provision things, which I don't want here. Let me just think a way I can do that. Yeah, I'll just edit the Tuxini and just remove this to make them pass. But here, for example, you see it exploded it. And if I go deeper, you can see that this is the test requirements file, these 5 entries. And these are, what else were there? Files were here for the docs. There was the requirements at the root level and the doc source requirement. So if we see the requirements file here, which is just some core dependencies, and then you have in the doc source requirements. See, these are specified separately. So if I run this one, you'll see that this dependency now is actually the two merged together and pulled together. And because Tux now actually saved this merge dependency tree, it knows that whenever new information has been added to your configurations, it needs to do a rebuild. Or it needs to install new dependencies. Now, one of the problems we encounter here is gonna be that now we need to expand the requirements file. And the question is, how do we expand the requirements file? To be able to expand the requirements file, we need to parse it and expand it. Okay? And this is what this requirements file project does. Yeah, as documented by pip. And yeah, this is the pip's implementation of how to interpret the requirements file. Now, there's two things here kind of like needs mention. this thing will actually parse and extract the requirements, and it will even do transit requirements files. Because for example, it is valid to have a requirements file. And here you could do something such as actually have here another requirements file. Requirements.txt. Okay, and Tux needs to be able to parse this too. Here, for example, you see Tux will complain that, hey, this requirements file wants to read this other requirements file that is missing. Okay. So considering that we are able to parse this thing, now we need to know that while this root section here in the depth section, so while the depth section here, it's kind of like this one. It's kind of like requirement files. It has a different syntax than a normal requirements file. Because in a normal requirements file, you then can't have -r without a space, because that will not work. But for backwards compatibility, we do want to support that. So the solution for that is that when we build this requirements file, at the first level, we specify a flag, which by default is true that, hey, if you're within the tux-ini, we need to do some normalization, just that things are sane and we support the backward compatible information. But however, when we parse transitive dependencies, then we don't do this normalization, so that we collect erase errors when the user specifies within a requirements file. Like here, if I will specify this, I do want to raise an error. However, I use this syntax within the toxin, I don't want to raise an error. And there's one more thing which needs to be handled, and that is spaces. So in the requirements file, as interpreted by pip, you can't have spaces. So for example, you have a path, which is like this, like A space B. Within the pip, this will throw an error, the pip interpreted requirements file. The way to specify that in the path there is a space is by escaping it, like this. Okay? So within requirements file, we need to have spaces escaped. Then again though, the problem is that within the toxin file, let me switch here, I just drop that one, within the toxin file, like here, the way this thing gets expanded, this line, is that we're just gonna replace and put in the path as it is. So if this path contains space, we're not gonna escape that, as would the requirements file would require it. And because of this, there's another things happening here, just for requirement specification coming from within the toxin file, is that whenever we detect lines that start with this flags, if there is a match for this, we basically want to escape spaces within the arguments of that variables. Now there's one important thing, we don't want to escape if the user already provided an escape. So if, for example, let me do this. If, for example, I would have written here A, B, space, I don't want to double escape this one. So this is kind of like the complications of handling requirement files and doing it together. Now there's one thing that when we open it, but then when we open the requirement file and we actually want to open it, the path here needs to actually be unescaped, because the escape syntax is only parsed by pip. It's not actually known by the system's file system. So then whenever we parse transient dependency requirements file, we need to basically undo our escaping before we pass it on to this unescape path. Okay, that might have been a bit long-winded, but I hope that was kind of like give you a quick glance in the complications of actually supporting something like a requirement file for within Tux. Now I'm fairly certain this might have bugs, because I don't know. At the moment we only, let me just show you that one. Let's stringify not this one. So this is the part where we install the dependencies. So we just expand, validate and expand all the requirements file. We store them and we check if the previously installed list matches with the currently installed list. And we assume that if there's a difference between that, then the things are the same. But there can be some weird edge cases with transient dependencies. For example, what happens if transient dependency file requires some flags, some other, if like you have three transient dependency files. For example, let's say you have a.rec and a specifies, what is this one? Let me see. So one of the things you can specify in requirements files would be, for example, no index. Okay, and the way you would put this is like, hey, I want to install without index setup tools a.txt. Okay, so this could be like setup tools, and then let's imagine you can have a b.txt, and here you can have like wheels. Okay, and then within your toxiny you specify that you want your depth section, that you want a.txt and b.txt. Okay, so like in this case the no index applies only for this section, for this thing. So arguably what happens if someone requires you, if someone removes this no index here? How do you solve this? Can you even solve this? Like, what do you, because it's the simple case is when someone just, let's say, adds a new wheel. Okay, it adds something like, I don't know, packaging. Okay, if someone adds a new element to that, then basically you can just install the additional information. But what happens if someone removes this no index, which would apply to only these two packages? How do you interpret that? Like, what do you need to do? Maybe this example would be the same, but there's no easy way to determine that. What do we need to do now to make the specification up to date? How do we sync this specification with the TXT? Maybe we should just drop everything and recreate from scratch. That's kind of like the edge cases that are not yet handled. I mean, for now, I'm waiting for someone to actually use those kind of edge cases and then try to come up with a solution for that. And that just from the pure optimization of let's try to create something that works now and we can make it more complicated later. If we handle 80% of the use cases out of the box and then the more edge cases is something we support later, that's fine. Now to answer Jürgen's question. Yeah. Definitely can do a release at the end of this, but just kind of like just a bit of a spoiler. It's not gonna be too magical. What do I do for the releases? Because the only thing I do to make the releases is I think I use Tux itself to do the releases as far as I remember. Yeah. If you let me go back here. Okay, so let's go back to Tux, okay? So if I view my Tuxiny file and I go to the, wait, might be wrong on this. Yeah, so it's actually not fully automated at the moment. So yeah, actually it's not going to be as easy. Because on the main branch, if we check out the master branch, all right, we can just reset everything. If I check the master branch and I look into the Tuxiny file, you see that there's the release environment, and this is what actually does the release. And this actually calls this task release.py. So task release.py. And this basically just communicates with Git, creates releases, uses, I hope, the build project to build, but I'm not, no. Oh yeah, it doesn't even do that. It just generates updates, uses Town Crier to update the release information, and then tags and creates a PR out of it. So this is the complication. Now I haven't automated that for the rewrite branch. That's something to be done. So at the moment, mostly how a release would work is just cutting a simple updating the time crier, updating the documentation, creating the commit, and tagging it. Now the actual release process is actually done within the project's GitHub workflow. And if you go to the publish here, you see that whenever we tag something, then we use the build project to build the source and the distribution and then upload it to PyPI. So this is what does the release actually. But there needs to be a manual process before that, which basically just generates updated documentation so that when you read the documentation here, this instead of this V next, now we have V 4.0.0 alpha 4. Okay, so yeah, we can do that later at the end of the stream, but maybe let's start before that to bring in the issue raised by Jorgen. So there's one issue which he asked is just the ability to be able to specify this. But we have another issue of that. If I go to the talks for text, I should be able to find it. Is that apparently it doesn't work if we specify this at the same time. So yeah, let's check out why is this? Why is this? What's happening here? Why does this doesn't work? Why can't you do something like specify the requirements and then specify the constraints file at the same time? This should work. So as you can see, the user reporting the bug is with Ansible lint. So let's check out that project just so that we try to replicate further the issue with the same project. Okay, so this is Ansible linked. So we just go one way up and we do a repo clone that repository. I already done this, but so I'm gonna actually remove it just so that it shows a more realistic way of how I would actually try to do this. Okay, so now I go to Ansible list. Now there's one thing here for eating the development and literally eating your own dog food. I actually have set, as you can see by this command, I set tux4 from my local machine to link to the dev build within my source tree. So if I type in now tux4, the code that's being run is literally the code that you see here in the source tree. This allows me to do changes and test easily things when they broke. Okay, so like this is the Ansible in project. And let's check out the tux.ini files just so that we know what we're working with. And you can see basically by default, these two should be specified. So we can see that what are the valid environments. So let's just start with Py39 core. Okay. And usually what I first do is just check the configuration for this project. So I spec this and I say like, Tux, give me the configuration for this project. Okay. That brings it down, but let's see. So we can see that this will be run by virtualenv. It sets this environment variables, which is fine. It's based off of the test.env section. Yeah, runs with virtualenv. Runs the test under Py39 and Ansible base 210. This is a bug, to be fair. This should be on one line, not on two lines. So let's create an issue for this. Because, yeah, that's actually a bug. That is, yeah. This is a bug. because the description really should be in one line. Description of test temp should be in one line. Let's put it other way. May span over multiple lines. Okay. Okay. Look, should be normalized to just one line. See example in. Let's put it there. And Ansible lint. Of Ansible lint. This is tax 4. So what else is here? Okay, there's no dependency. The name, it will create folders there. That is the passenv. This is another bug. They're like you see here, the comments within the passenv actually are not stripped. So these are actually, this entire thing is the thing. So I need to handle that. And also it's a question that we should strip this one, but I think we use a set for the depths for the passenv. Let me just check this out quickly. What is the passenv type? It is a lift or string. Do we simplify it? Oh yeah, we strip it because we put it inside the dictionary and we sort it. Okay, so you cannot be duplicated, but the reason why you see these entries and these entries is that apparently the passenv doesn't support comments. Passenv does not support comments. I mean, I really just want to reference the other issue because it's in the same project. Yeah, I really should have started with tux4. Tux4. Can be used to comment individual comment reason for setting values. I think here actually it's not a passenv issue. I think that Tux as a whole should support this. Like we should, within the ini file, in the ini file, we should always remove trailing comments on every type of input. So yeah, let's see what else looks good. When should output comments look good. Yeah, it's running some arguments. They look mostly sane. Things are actually good. The packaging is source distribution. Hemlint has 2 extras. And then the depths. And yeah, this is not implemented yet. Really shouldn't. Other feature, I don't know. I don't know what to call things which are not yet implemented in Tux 4 but are in Tux 3 bugs, features. Kind of like features for Tux 4, but they're like bugs for Tux 3. Tux 4 support install command. Things do. Yeah, we just put the thumbs up here. 4. Oh, by the way, if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to ask it. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions. This doesn't have to be a long monologue of mine. Looks for support whitelist externals. And looks for apparently that was too much for my browser or GitHub. Trying to select a label. Anyway, we'll come back to it at a later stage because no reason for us to wait that long. It just froze. Okay, now the depth seems to work. So let's try it. To run it. Let's see what's happening here. I'd like to put in a level of verbosity just so I see a bit more. Maybe this is fixed by this. I mean, I'm surprised because I'm fairly certain this did not work for Sorin. Let's see where this lands. Will this actually succeed? I mean, an issue that you don't have to work on, you can just close it, is always good, but like, why does it work for me and not them? It's a good question. I mean, this definitely seems to be working. I mean, it started running the test, so it created everything with success. Ansible, lint. If I check out the bat talks for Python, the talks information, it looks valid. 3.9.1, use that as executable. This is a Pi virtual env runner core, has these dependencies, has these package dependencies. I mean, not much to complain here. I mean, how slow is this? Because, I mean, it's been running for a while and not much happening. Oh, finally started. Takes a while to kick off this one. Let's see if we can. One of the major things that has been added to Talks4 is that the verbose, whenever a comment finishes, it prints out how long it took. So, for example, we can see that installing these dependencies actually took 7.5 seconds. I mean, quite a few dependencies. So, and some of them are all of them cached. I just put this onto the pip being slow, or potentially could be improved. And we need these build dependencies, which then were done in 3 seconds. We got the requirements for the wheel. And we install that in 0.3. And there's another 0.7 just to prepare the metadata. Then we install the package dependencies that took 31 seconds. Just tearing down the environment was fairly quick. What? Why did that exit take so long? Oh wait. Oh yeah, this is the building of the distribution. Took 1.5 seconds. 11 seconds just to build that. Not fast this one, is it? 1.1 second to run the pip check. And then the test, well, that is still running. I mean, the fact that requires a lot of power to stream from my computer, or my MacBook to be fair, because I can't really call it computer. One of the reasons why this can take a while, because seems to be quite a few tests in here. I mean, I'm gonna stop it. Just because it seems like it actually worked. I'm gonna run it with no test. Oh, wait, actually. Stop that one too. And I'm just gonna remove the dash V. We're a bit more silent. Suppose I can no longer replicate this. No longer replicate this with the latest from the right branch. Okay, I mean, that's a quickly fixed thing. It's easy to fix something when you don't have to do anything. This is though a bit, how should I say this? Too much. It takes 50 seconds just to start running the test suite. That's a lot. Probably can be improved. One of the ways we could improve it, let's see what happens if I override the package to be wheel. And I mean, this looks kind of like universal wheel. Let me override. Yeah, this goes inside the test.env package. Test.env dot wheel build env equals dot package. Yeah. So one of the big new features, one other of the big new features within Tux is that you can override everything by the command line, any option within your configuration. So what I said here is that by default, the project is using the source distribution, as you can see here, to install, and that takes some time. It's slower to build, it's slower to install, all that kind of things. And here we switch to let's build and install wheels. And this actually cut the runtime from 14 seconds to 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds, which is quite good, quite good. I mean, a lot less operations need to be performed for a wheel than a source distribution. And yeah, you can see it actually builds a Pi 3 universal wheel. Now, what you can see here, yeah. The reason why we needed to send this to dot package is that wheeled environments are separate, and this is mainly for the reason that not all project wheels are universal, meaning not all project wheels can be installed on all the versions. For example, imagine that this project had a separate wheel for Python 3 and Python 2. Then you'd have to build a separate wheel for Python 3 and Python 2. And in that case, you would need to have separate build environment to build a build for Python 3 and Python 2. And the way we do that is by using additional environments. So here we just say that, you know what, don't create a special environment for the wheel building. Just use the package, which is the default metadata querying environment. Okay, so that's about that. Let's see what else is going here. Okay, I mean, one issue fixed without having to do this, anything. Literally just closed. Issues. Anyone has any questions? Or anyone wants to propose any issues they would like to address? This is your chance to speak up, and I may just work on that. What was the hidden problem within the Zope repositories? What is your favorite Zope repository? I think I actually did download one of the Zopes, the one you were suggesting. Yeah, the Zope 3 one. Just to like test it. Like the good way to test if everything's alright is just print the configuration and look for exceptions. But there's nothing there. So I think that's alright. Configuration py39. Or let's see, pre-commit. Let's see if anything looks out of ordinary. Technically the extras is unused here, but I suppose depending how you specified it, yeah. Yeah, I suppose this is kind of like a bug. We should see, like, if I print the dependencies, I see that the extras is unused. And the reason for that is because this environment actually narrates its configurations from the parent environment, which is the test temp, and test temp defines extras. But because you specify skip install, the extras is undefined because there's no package installed in the project. Hence why here, just showing the configuration of this repository, you can see that if we print the warning that, hey, extras is unused. So this could be definitely a feature that talks for only mark. Well, this is the show config. Only mark unused if it's in the target. Do not print if inherited. Okay, and I think we have some of this within tux3 too. Yeah, or some within tux2. If I like print graphy unused. Yeah, you see I have a few unused here. And technically this is a false positive. The isolated build is kind of yes, because it's implied for tux4, so that can be unused. But this string shouldn't be unused. So yeah, that's this lovely issue. The feature though, because I mean it's not bad to print it out. It just might confuse some users that, hey, why it is unused. It's unused because the environment doesn't require it. Okay, it's about right. Version, no package. Okay, this one looks about right. Set them. I think I actually tried to run this by 39. Let's see. See. Okay, while this runs, let's check out something else. Let's check out what other issues we have. Oh, wait, this actually went to. Yeah. This is unlucky because it seems the zooming is not universally set. It might be hard to read on your screens. I did not even think about until now about that. Okay. Let me check that one too. So let's go up. Clone. More path tux4 list. Okay. Checking for any exceptions. Hey, there's an error. Okay. This is gonna be when trying to load a dependency here. You have an egg file. I mean, what this heresy? I dare saying. Source.depth. Holy moly, I mean, what? What? What's this? Obviously, I need to refresh my requirements files, the applications. Let me zoom in on this one. Can you even do stuff like that? I mean, I haven't seen it before. That doesn't mean that it's not valid. What? What? I mean, at this point, I'm interested how this works in Tux 3. So let me just try to do that. No test. I don't want to run the test suite. Let's see what happens here. It's literally gets past. Ooh. I mean, this doesn't work on Tux 3 either. I mean, this is the command that's being run. Code seed. I feel like this is not actually that run because there's no space there. So obviously here we're, I mean, we must be lying. But I'm using Tux 3.21. Like, what am I missing here, Jurgen? Hey, the Endless River. I'm doing good, thank you. What about you? Just trying to debug or find out here for Jurgen some issues with Tux 4. Doing good otherwise. What separate solution for? Wait, but Jurgen, help me understand how is this supposed to work? And where is the separate Tux ini file? I mean, I can't see anything in here. Also, how is this working in Tux 3? Travis. Yeah, but what about locally, Jurgen? Well, I'm number 8 because apparently there have been 7 before me. This is, yeah, there have been 7 before me. No other reason. This is my, the computer I'm working from is my work computer. So the naming system used at my company had 7 people before me with the same name and prefix. So what other repos do I need to check out, Jurgen? I mean, this is actually not an issue because with Tux 4, another of the new comments is I can specify other Tux ini files. I can do this. Oh, wait, not with Tux 3, but with Tux 4. Okay, so now I can use actually that one if that's the thing. Not that it works any better, but I mean, that should work though, to be fair. Does that even work with tux3? Can I do that with tux3? I need to check the help message for this. Can I specify additional one? Arcs, tux options, verbals, package parallel develop, Suppose it just takes the current working directory. Oh well, I can move Travis. Tuxini into Tuxini. Just to test what's happening here with, because what's happening with Tux3 here. Wait, actually want here and no test too. Yeah, just delete that one. Trust you. I mean, I did not know about that, though makes sense. How are you doing, the Endless River? Yeah, let's check out this other thing. Did this pass? Yeah, look, Lobe tree actually works. I mean, the first setup to cages, what works, and subsequent builds should be a lot faster. I mean, again, installing source distribution takes ages, as you can see. 5 seconds just setting it up. But if you do the trick of set the package, test end of that package to wheel, and you set the test end of that wheel build end of to dot package, it should be faster. Yeah, look. We shaved off 4 seconds. That's progress. 1.3 seconds instead of 5.5. Yeah, I mean, let's see the Travis one, Jürgen. I mean, we can leave the other one, but this seems to be working, while apparently this with Tux4 throws a lovely little error. I mean, let me check this one, because this seems a valid issue. More pet. What's the Tuxini file here? Did this actually work in? Never knew that we supported the short form of the -e too. Like, that's what kind of like catches me off guard here. Like, did this actually work? The short form or -e? We got some universal thing. Maybe I should actually check the source code for this. So yeah, let's do that. Let's check out the source code for. I'm gonna zoom on this in so we can easily read it. So the question is, where do we do the depth section? It's gonna be somewhere in the configuration. Depth, yeah. Where did we have this -r? I'm actually gonna just. Well, the good news is it failed with pip3 too. So it failed a lot later. Oh yeah, because again, even on Travis it does the same thing. But I mean, this is gonna, maybe not, maybe it's gonna work. I mean, more pet rag dot get master dot rag does the cloning, preparing for more pet. Not okay, so there are some crazy things going there. Apparently this doesn't work with pure text header, but might be issues. Though this dash A thing at the moment it's not gonna work. Because if I do configuration of this for pi 39, that's what it's gonna be. I went pi 9, no, it's just pi 39. Am I doing wrong here? Why is this printing nothing? Oh, because did I check out the master? No. Oh, this works. Okay, this is another crazy thing. What's happening here? Funky. This is a bug. Let's check this out. What's happening here? Set this up. So apparently, if I specify tags.ini, oh, let me pull it in. So I just specified the tags.ini for this project. I really don't care. I just want the configuration. That does nothing. Oh wait, it worked here. Why it didn't work here? It worked here. Work here. It doesn't work here. Wait. Wait. That should work though. I mean, I get it, that's not there, but it should still work. That's another bug. I think, let's see why this errors out. I mean, I know why it errors out. But this is the thing. Why does this work in tux tree? Do we do some universal replace for the single passed arguments? Yeah, so that's why we want to check the depth processing. Yeah, this is just the factor expansion. Oh. Oh. Okay, so basically it's within everything within this info. So we support more than just the dash R. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So we support all this. I mean, come on. I mean, this is more than this. We support more than pip supports. How is that a thing? I mean, okay. Build cache your client download. Which of these are not supported? I don't see here build. I mean, it's valid, but obviously we need to update our requirements file. Didn't work. What even is pip dash dash build? I mean, okay. Okay, so this is the part where we need to improve. So we need to basically support everything we support as a one argument, as a two argument. Basically everything within a one arg should go in. And I assume then goes the escape list too. Okay. Okay. Instead of this, what we want to, let's write the test first. Can you define what do you mean develop two packages at once? Depends on what do you mean by two packages and the ones. Do they live in the same source tree? Are they different source tree, different packaging? Yeah, I need a bit more context. Oh, like that. I usually just install the other packages developer mode. So for example, if I would want to develop virtualenv and tux at the same time, I would do something like, oh, not this one. If I want to develop something in virtualenv at the same time, I would do tux for dev bin, and here I just type in pip install. Then I would do something like presentable, yeah, something like that. And then I can even use the sim editor. It's kind of like a manual process, but just have one editor where you install all packages that you edit as a manual dependency, and then you just develop from there. The one downside of this is that you really need to, usually it only works when you can't write tests in parallel. So you kind of like write, like in this case, the Tux project. Once I finish Tux, I will need to go back to virtual and then write the test, write the release. And after the release go out, maybe come back and then if anything needed to change, finish up here too. Okay, I mean here we need to support basically everything that we support there. That's it. Which is surprising. I mean, but we can do it. And that we can do it. Uh, is org match. So what we want here is valid options one org. Okay. Match is not none. Then we have a match. And then basically we need to rewrite the line as take the org match, insert a space, and then take anything after the org match. Something like that. Name this to O just because it's more option. Yeah, I think that works better. That might now work even for this project. Yeah. And that fixes it. Moves to the space expanded version. So that does mean maybe I should move this in here. One org page. Just shorten this. See how short we need to make this to make it valid. Like the possible. Possible. And one of the things we could do, why is this make this a set? No reason for this to be a list. Similar here, could make this a list or a set. Yeah, probably want to. So these are the no argument options. These are the one argument options, and these are things which arguments need to be escaped like that. Actually, was another bug that they were together. Really should be a tuple, no? Should be a name tuple rather than a dictionary. Dictionary is a bit ugly. Class flag, or not flag, but like CLI org PI. And then we could do no org. This would be named tuple. And this would be the no org. and then this makes it the one arc. And this makes it one arc space. No, I don't want to actually put it. I want to just make it global variables. Why not? It's actually an implementation detail, but why not? Let's expose it. No org. This is one arc. White space. Keep. Yeah. One arc. Keep. Just name it as. It's one arc. I think that's about it. Okay. Let's go back. See the depths. At least manifest all depths. Looks about right. Looks about right. I'm happy with that. Okay. Okay. Create an issue for it. Always. I mean, it even suppose it worked in the depths because we passed it along. I'm rather not supporting that. Don't want to support everything from here. Okay. So we got a ticket. Let's write a changelog for it. Like 1834. Verification. Support all valid requirement file specification. but without delimiting space in the depth. Any, yeah, that's what I wanted to say here. Now, need to actually test this. There's a matching test file for it, so we can just run it. See the ones which don't work. Why is this not working? Oh yeah, that was here. I was wondering here, why do we have an empty? Was there no? Yeah, it was no index. Okay, and that makes everything work. Now the one thing we need to do is now specify the short form. Yeah, this is the construct.txt expanded. I think we need a similar test. Do we have a dasher? Yeah. Transitive constraint. So I'm just gonna take this one. And the flag, I'm gonna take. We haven't defined an all, which usually it's a good idea to define. I wanna put here the requirement file. Then I wanna put the one arc escape and no arc. Yeah. So we wanna test for OR flag. One arc. And then so I want to remove the constraint files and the requirement file, and the main reason for this is here we actually validate that those files exist and must be a valid files. Okay. In this case, what I want is just to specify the flag argument. And I think in this case it's just gonna be the flag and argument. And within it, it's gonna be the flag and the argument. I think so. Yeah. Don't like this being a set. The sets table. I mean, it should be on 3.6 and later, though this might cause lovely issues. Because if the ordering of the parameters is not stable, you get lovely errors. Okay, I mean, that's done. Now it covers that we test that we expand all of them. Oh yeah, I don't want to actually expand it, but I expect it to show up expanded. Yeah, that's what I wanted. See, here there's no space, but there is space, both in the valid requirement, both and when reading the text. We can specify like that. That kind of like validates the test that would had. Okay. Just gonna write this. Support all requirement one arc flex to be add out space. And okay. I'm just gonna create I'm just gonna create a pull request of this. I mean, at least I should have run the pre-commit to be fair here. May have jumped the gun. It's two things, the pre-commit and the typing information might be inaccurate. For example, there in the rec file I have the name tuple. Yeah, I want to remove the name tuple. And I want here. Type. Let's see if the type information matches. I mean, it's nothing outrageous, I think. Should be fairly easy. You don't need to specify the type information for this because the language can deduce it. It's string on the right hand side is a set. So that's gonna work as expected. Hello everyone new who had me joining. Yeah, so just to clear it up, we're doing some talks for development, just squashing some bugs, getting closer to some release at some point. Probably not gonna happen in the next month or two, but hey, maybe in April we can have a talks for public release. There's still a lot of subtle issues, but one step at a time. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Yay. All good. Well, then we can just amend our previous commit. This is already failing. Oh, Windows is not happy about it. Why is our Windows build failing? I mean, should have run even locally this test suite. I mean, the thing is, the streaming takes a lot of CPU out, even if it doesn't show. Yeah. 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 This is what I was searching for. This needs to be like put inside a list, sorted list, just so that the order is stable, because otherwise you get these lovely errors that the problem is you run this test suite over multiple CPU cores because you distribute them by using the PyTest statistics. And if the order in the way those dependencies are specified is not the same on the one of the cores than the other of the core, then PyTest just throws that error because it would be very hard for PyTest to actually match them up, which where when it goes. So the PyTest SDX actually counts on the order being stable. The problem is with the set, the order is kind of undefined. Hence why here, once we did the set operations, we put it into the list and then sort it. So maybe sorted might be enough. I will just being safe with the list. And yeah, maybe I can do that. Maybe I don't need here the list because why would I need it? Just put sorted there. Let's stop this and see if that just does a good job. As clockwork, we got the email that the PR actually failed. Uh, I mean, the W is for worker. And now what does the G stands for? I don't know is my honest answer to that. I can guess, but I don't know. We can though check out the code. Maybe they have separate codes for like local worker, remote worker, HM group, gateway worker. Okay, I mean it even could be not worker, it could be just gateway, which is probably they just think about it. You create a gateway to some processing unit, be that a local processor or a remote machine, and then you talk with these gateways over some protocol. In the case of the local worker, you can use pipes, you can use some standard input output, any other local easily available one. In case if this is a remote machine, then you need to have some type of TCP protocol or something. Yeah, I actually learned something new. GW actually means gateway. Okay, now we just need to fix our coverage, which apparently at the moment is not the best. One thing this project aims for is 100% coverage. So that's why we're not there yet. That's why we're not just done yet with this PR. We need to get 100%. So let's see which thing is not covered. And the thing is, this is not covered. So basically, if we got our words too interesting. So what test which covered that now doesn't cover? I know. Like press something. What I want. Yeah, because the problem is, I think what's happening is that if you specify something else, like let's say this, okay, first is in one arg. Okay, so I had something similar. I cannot have something which have escaped. Wait, what? Oh yeah, because then we escape it. The escaping is happening. So whatever we pick must be something that doesn't get escaped. So we need a one arg variable. Let's go with the index URL. So we need a one arg variable which gets two arguments. Like this should throw. Yeah. And if it doesn't, we're in. And one more thing we have to check is that this actually throws in the line we're expecting it to throw. So we want to check that this throws in this line. Exception. Yep. Look, index URL AB. Cool. So that should now fix. That now should fix things. I mean, now the test takes to run a minute and 20 seconds. When I'm not streaming, this test takes more like 30 seconds. So yeah, it's a bit faster, but I mean, still going all right. 1 minute 20 is not end of the world. Whoosh. Let's update the remote because I'm fairly certain this gonna fix our issues, and then the remote can start running, and then we can do on Yeah, and then we can do the release once we merge this one. And I agree, Jürgen. Yeah, one of the major thing is that if you check out some of the PRs I merged before, all the PRs are actually failing. And more often than not, or many of the PRs are failing, like this one is failing. And the reason it's failing is because by the viewers, there's a .1 percentage decrease. So yeah, one of my follow-up operations is to get to that 100% on all the platforms. At the moment, I get to 100% on macOS, but not everywhere. And in the CI, I'm also not at 100% here for whatever reason. Because I don't know, for some reason, CodeCov doesn't specify math coverage. But yeah, it's gonna be a good day when we can be 100% entirely, and then I don't have to be worried about such flaky reports as CodeCov would do. I mean, sometimes it literally just add more tests, so the number of test lines increases, your coverage just improves. But you're never gonna reach 100% because you might have just one line somewhere that's not covered. Okay, so for example, let's see this. This is another thing I need to follow up and check on it, but see this Ubuntu 3.9. I run the test suite and the coverage is 100%. So is there some other like 3.6, not 100%? I need to hunt down because last time I checked, there was some discrepancies on some platforms. I wasn't fully 100%. See. Yeah, that's 100% too. I really need to disable the verbose mid in the CI because I need to scroll so much to get to the coverage report part. So yeah, too many tests to run. Wait, what? Ah, that must be a flaky error. Yeah, I have a flaky test, like 2, 3 flaky tests, or maybe just one, but at most 2, 3 flaky tests, and sometimes they just trigger. And that's one of the other things still to do to actually figure out why they are flaking. But it's random flakiness. It's annoying though when you've been running like 40 seconds and it fails. Because often it's like at the end of the things, like here. I suppose it could have stop on failure, but still. Okay. See if we can get this CI passing. I think this one passed. I think this one passed. Now that I think about it, editable installs are always invalidated and we don't do them. If you editable install something, you always should reinstall it in every run because there's no way to know that it's up to date or not. You would have to like check the file system. Worry for another day. For now, we'll just merge this and do a release with this. Duct 4. Okay, so first thing first, let's fetch the information from remote. Okay, and that is what it is. So now I need to run down Duct 4, need to run the town crier. Town crier. I don't even know with what flags. So we're just gonna cheat and look it up in Tux's documentation. Hi Julian, how is it going? Let me check the documentation. Glad to see you too. Haven't seen you in a while. Back in the world before pandemic, with conferences, it actually were easier to see people than nowadays. Which is ironic, because, I mean, could always, like, see people on the internet otherwise. Call them up. Okay, so this is what we need. Town Crier, yes, version. So we're just doing release for Tux 4. Yes, version 4.0.0 alpha. Is it 4? Where we are with this? Yeah, we had 3, so now it's 4. I think that's all we need here. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Wait, not that line. What? Version data is undefined. Oh yeah, I think I know what it is. It's because I need to use a newer tux, so I need to like tux or newer release one tux bin town crier. Yeah, that works because I need like a release candidate of that tool. Yeah, so that's gonna be just release 4.0.0 alpha 4. Git push. And now we just push this to upstream directly. Head rewrite. Okay, and then we tag this as 4.4, and then we just push to upstream the text. And that should kick off a job that actually does the release. Let's push it to my local too. So now, if we go to the actions, we should see this one is the one we need. And this is the commit and this is the release. So when this finishes, it should do the publish at the end of it, as you can see. And that should release 4.0.0 alpha 4. And in parallel with that, we can do check the documentation. What's the date today? It's like '18th. So the URL is gonna be like that. Yeah, that should work. It should work. Four is out. Okay, so 16th over there. How is 16th? Must be 18th. Oh wait, it's 16th. Oh, you're right. You're so totally right. Yeah, right there. Already have the documentation, already updated it. Just waiting for the things to go through. We're gonna do one more thing then. And then I'll be signing off. We'll just make sure this goes out and then we'll allow everyone on these issues that we actually We'll alert everyone on this issue that, hey, this thing went out and they should check out if they can and make sure things have been addressed. So that means this, this, and finally this PR. And addresses this request. Basically. That's my own PR. Wait, I don't need to address that. Should do on that. Should do on that. Should update on that. What else do we have? Should still update on that. That's a PR. We can leave that open. Close that. Yeah, I think I needed that. Ah, Windows failed. Abort, abort, abort everything. This is gonna be one of those transient tests. Just gonna double check it, but it's gonna be one of those transient tests. Unless there's something horribly wrong on Windows. I mean, wow, wow. It's like, what? It did 0.01, which is even a bit offset displayed. The second display of one of the transient errors. Annoying, but now I have to cancel the workflow and restart. Yeah, rerun all jobs. Now, only if you could like rerun failed jobs featuring GitHub. That would be the dream now. But hey, we can't have all what we want. What? Who canceled this? Try again, try again, try again. Yeah, it's also a case that like, I don't know. I really think that the only useful way to view the logs is just to open the raw ones. I mean, I'm glad they have it, but like the only way to see any of these logs is literally like if something fails, my go-to thing is just avoid all these things. Go to the raw log file. I literally search for what I want. This one is fast, doesn't lag, doesn't have syntax highlighting, but I don't need it. I just want to see the error message, not fancy redness and all that stuff. So yeah, I just, whenever I actually have to read these things, I just tend to go directly to the raw logs. And be like, cool. Though I would, the one thing I would love to see if they would have here on the right hand side, like view raw logs, but only for that section. Because for example, I would like to see the raw logs only for this, not the entire previous thing, but oh well. It's still better than, I mean, it's still a great product for being free. We just could be improved. Now let's hope there's not gonna be any failing stuff this time. And I really should fix that test that is flaking, or I don't know. Maybe I just want to start using what's it called? The flaky test. With treaters, PyTest flaky or something. I'm flanking, not flaky. What's the package that does flaky test? I mean, there is a PyTest box flaky. Oh yeah, it could be. It was flaky then. Yeah, just mark it flaky. And that could also fix this annoying thing that sometimes things fail. Let's hope this time works. Let's hope this time it works. I just want to pull in that plugin in the hope that I can actually have a stable test suite. It's kind of like a extra motivation for me to not let flaky tests into the test suite. The flaky tests are always a pain in the bum to debug. No! 3.8 failed! I mean, I'm getting unlucky here. Usually like every third or so run fails. All the previous builds went on the first. Yeah, cancel the workflow. Rerun all jobs. One day we'll have rerun one job. You don't have to rerun all the job. At least one can hope. Hopefully not more flaky, not much flaky. And then yeah. Thanks, Julian. See you later. I'll also just finish releasing this and then I'll sign off. So well, hopefully in the next few minutes. But there's no guarantees here. We're gonna hit just gonna hit the 2 hour mark. I think I did stream for 2 hours before. Fairly certain I did, so I think it's gonna be my longest stream, but good chunk of size. Probably need 2 hours to like fix anything more complicated or fairly complicated. Just waiting around for the CI to finish. Hopefully does the release. Just waiting around for the CI to finish. Hopefully does the release. Come on, macOS 3.7, I believe in you. You can succeed. You can do this. We're still at the setup stage. Okay. The jig is up. Things are running. Things are running. The jig is up. Things are running. Things are running. We'll get to this. We'll get to this. The final frontier. We'll get to this. We'll get to this. The final frontier. Ooh. Come on. 99%. I mean, to be fair, one of the problem here is that it scrolls so much that something could have failed. I love when there's a long running test left to the end. Ooh. I mean, that passed. Time to open the champagne. The release. The release is going out. The publish is running. Come on. You pull that in. It pulls in the all the twine magic and stuff first. Once the twine magic comes in, then we'll install the build package. We actually perform the checkout, then build the package, both the source and the wheel distributions, publish to PyPI, uploading, and then just tear down the thing. That should be. If we go to pypi.org, talks, should be there. Should be there. Release history. Way! Less than 20 seconds ago. Cool. Thank you, everyone. And we're just on the clock. It's literally 20 seconds until the hour. Now, before we sign up, just have to do all this pushing the buttons here. I really need to automate this away, somehow figure out what issues were affected, and then just comment this. Yeah, like that. And that's it. 60 seconds past the 2 hours and done. Thanks everyone for joining in. See you next time. And yeah, I hope that was a bit useful for you. And yeah, thanks for everything.